are asking you to tell us about your top 5 recruiting class you signed today.
Hi guys, good to see everybody. Yeah, we're pretty excited about the class. You know, these classes commit so young. Kinder Waite is arguably one of the best setters in the country coming in, and really excited about her. You know, fun fact with her sister was the libero at Kansas the year that we had that epic match in 1 and 5 to go, and that was the year we went to the Elite Eight. So Kendra, you know, again, great setter coming out of the Kansas City area, Gardner, Kansas. And then Nora Sis locally, Papillion La Vista High. I think everyone probably knows who she is for our local people. Outside hitter. I love Nora's game because she's not only great in the front row, but she's a really, really strong ball handler, and we like that firepower coming out of the back row too. Eve McGill out of Cedar Rapids Xavier. In Iowa. Eve is a 6'5" pin hitter. So after having some success with Taryn, we were excited to get that kind of height back in the program. And Eve, I think will be really fun to kind of watch her development. She's coming off a state championship run in Iowa. And then we picked up Abby Milner this fall. We are so stoked about her. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't seen her play live. I mean, this is how the pandemic has affected things. She academically, Creighton was a great fit. We did a bunch of research. Craig has seen her live, liked her last spring. But we did research on character, and we're really stoked that she picked Creighton this fall. So really excited about the class.
All right, thank you. We'll go to questions now. We'll start with Joe Nugent and then go to Matt DeMarinis.
Hey, a little more on Nora. What does it bring to have local players in the program, and you know, is there an excitement that comes along with her, you know, beyond what she can do on the court?
Well, you know, you build a fan base to a degree off of regional kids for sure. And I always think of when Brittany Witt would get introduced at games, they'd say Omaha, Nebraska, and everyone would get all excited. So, you know, fans are always excited to see local kids. So that's exciting. And the other nice thing of her being local is I feel like I know Nora really well. And I actually feel like I know this class really well. They've been committed for a while and they've been to a lot of camps. But, you know, Nora plays for the club that my daughter plays for. So, you know, you just have these interactions, and we know a lot of mutual people just in life because she's local. So those are nice things, especially as my kids get older and we're crossing the same ages.
All right, go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Kirsten.
Hi, Matt.
This question is probably in fairness to Abby because there's only so much you can develop in a couple months. But so it's more about Kendra, Eve, and Nora, because if I'm doing the math right, they all committed more than 2 years ago. So I'm wondering, just from your ability to stay in touch with them, evaluate them as the years have gone by, how much has their game grown and developed even from when you first kind of brought them on board verbally?
Yeah, that's always the challenge with recruiting young. I guess the blessing is I'm still stoked about all three. So that's a good thing. You know, specific to the play, I think Kinder Waite is really special. Her volleyball IQ is different than most players. She also could libero at a high level Division I team. You know, she's that good in all of her game. You know, and if you do the accolades on Kinder Waite, she's one of the best track athletes in the state and could have been a Division I track athlete. She's quite a phenomenal athlete. You know, it's Nora, you know, one of the things I loved, Nora came to one of our camps and our players were in a little bit, and she just really stood out on how she could create against huge blocks. I mean, at the high school level, she sees varying size blocks, comes into, you know, a high level gym and still can work around, you know, 6'4" blocks. Excuse me, no COVID. And so, you know, Nora's game just continues to impress me. And I love what she went through this fall. If you followed the Papillion high school season, they struggled big time early. And I think she struggled some. I didn't get to go watch, but her kind of going through that and leading, again, I think those are all huge life skills. And then Eve, I really like because she's played both left side and right side. And, you know, I love that she won a state championship. All those things are huge when you're recruiting. You want kids that know how to win.
All right, we will
Gosh, you feel
continue on.
guilty when you cough nowadays, don't you?
Yeah, we will continue on with questions from John Niatawa and then go to Andy Kendi.
Kirsten, you mentioned knowing these players.
Ooh, I like this, John.
Yeah. Haven't seen the barber in a while.
I like it.
2020. Just these having not seen or having known these players for a long time. I don't even know if you can remember like back to when it began. But do you remember when it began with any of these? Like, how long ago are we talking? How long has this class sort of been in the works?
You know, each kid's different. I would say Kendra, we saw young and we knew we loved her from the get-go. Like, she was one of those kids that you could see that and Kendra always played up. She was MVP of the 16 Open National Championship when she was 15. So to give you, so didn't take a genius to realize she was a pretty dang good player. Nora was someone that we kind of got in a little bit later than in hindsight we should have. And then I think we saw pretty quickly after we really dove into her game more how much we liked her. But, you know, Nora, I feel fortunate that we got our head on straight because had we waited much longer, I think we would have lost her. And then Eve, gosh, I'm trying to think with Eve. You know, I would say this with Eve, I can't remember. I think we watched Eve for a while. And, you know, again, these kids that are really tall, right? Eve is really skinny. But she was committed to the weight room. We thought she had a good arm. We knew she worked hard. So those are all pieces as you make some decisions, or at least when we make some decisions on, you know, if we're going to extend an offer, you know, you think, okay, what's the development? And I remember that, especially, again, I relate her to Taryn a little bit because Taryn was one of those kids as a sophomore, like, oh, is she going to get this put together? And then by the time she was like late in her junior year, we're like, holy cow, of course she's getting this put together. So, so that's a little bit of kind of how it evolved with the three of them.
And just a quick follow-up, like once you get them, once they commit, that's great. But this 2 years, like, do you breathe a sigh of relief today, or what's it like now that it's finally official?
Oh yeah, I think you do always, right? You want it on the dotted line a little bit, but I've never wavered with these guys. I've never had concerns that they've like stopped communicating or anything like that. And we got to start full communication, gosh, you know, a year and a half ago, June 15th, after their sophomore year. So you're not going through a club coach or going through a high school coach. We're able to directly communicate with them. And all of them have been really good about, you know, we would get on the phone every couple of weeks and text and things along those lines, but it's still nice to make it official.
All right, Andy Kendi and then John Bishop.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you. How
are you in quarantine? I saw you on the news last night, and I thought
this is it. This is a corner of my house because my kids have all the good looking backdrops for their Zooms. You know, they get priorities. Nice. So
you should put a big Creighton flag. Yeah. I think that your Husker fans would like that.
I'm willing. Creighton and a little sponsor, FNBO. Give me a better rate at the bank. Right. I'm all for it. Hey, so obviously this is an obvious question, but how weird has this fall been for you, for your team? And how do you keep your kids engaged knowing your season doesn't even have technically a schedule yet and all that stuff? There's a whole bunch of things to work out. How do you keep your kids focused on the working hard now so you can play later?
It's definitely been, you know, one of the biggest challenges of my coaching career. I think, you know, we've got great kids. They've been healthy. You know, so we've tried to focus on positives, and I think we've got good kids that did that well, have done that well. I mean, we finished our season today, our fall season, because we'll hit dead in finals week. So we are kind of through it. You know, the beginning, we were in small groups or smaller groups, about 8. We could have 4 on a court. And that got tedious. I mean, to be honest, they did a great job, but you know, they want to compete. Once we got the team together about a month in, that was incredible for us. Like the energy changed, and you know, we've tried to have a lot of joy. We start most days with a game, and then we end with a lot of 6-on-6, and we try to focus on being appreciative. And again, we've got such great kids, but we've worked hard. I mean, they've done full strength and conditioning, and then a lot of training on the court. So, you know, and then they're going to have this long break that's going to be different than what we normally do. So, I think all of us have to remember we're in an unprecedented time. People are dying. It's scary. I mean, so I think, you know, as soon as I start to feel sorry for myself, or we collectively feel sorry, I think it's pretty easy to think, okay, we got a lot of fortunate things going on, and we're getting to play a game that we love, and let's focus on that. So that's kind of what we've done. I can't speak. I mean, I love this group, just like I loved last year's group. I mean, all great kids that have, you know, they're just doing the right things on and off the court, and off the court's more important than ever right now.
John Bishop.
Coach, you've been blessed that, you know, there's so much great talent in this area, but with, you know, the COVID restrictions, with budgets probably going to be affected over the next couple of years, do you almost feel like that net has to now get tighter as you just travel the area to find the next great players?
Yeah, you know, the challenge right now is we can't even go see them. And so we have to make some decisions as a program of, are we going to start making offers based on film? And we've never done that historically. I really like to see kids in person. But those are going to be some discussions that we have to have. Or do you play roulette and let other people make decisions and let the trickle down happen? Because you guys all know everyone got a year of eligibility. There's going to be lots of kids on the transfer portal. There's lots of ramifications of those decisions. So I don't know if we've discussed that we're going to make our net, you know, focus more regionally, but that's always our focus. We always start inside out. So that won't change. But if a star from Florida, you know, sends us film, we're going to check her out just as we normally would. But I think right now we're just looking for opportunities to recruit. So when that opportunity comes, I think inevitably we will start regionally, because we want to see the kids in the area.
All right, we got time for, we'll do 2 more questions. We'll start Matt DeMarinis one, and then Andy Kennedy can finish it out.
Thank you, Rob. You know, given the time in the season when it happened, Erica's injury kind of put her in a pretty, I don't know what the window would look like in terms of her recovery, getting back for what a normal season would look like. But given that you've been pushed back now to the spring, which I think if you polled volleyball coaches across the country anyway, they would prefer. But how is she doing so far? How is she holding up? How is she holding up in terms of her recovery and kind of getting the knee back to where she feels confident, and how beneficial is that gap between a normal start to a season versus when it's going to happen this year for her, given that she's going into the, you know, I guess she does have the next year, but I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think Erica would tell you that this has been a blessing for her. She was really, really concerned in the summer, because her plan was obviously to come back in June, and then that got pushed back to July. And I mean, you can imagine, you guys know all the ups and downs throughout the summer. Are we playing? Are we not playing? And Erica, I can tell you in July, was saying, I don't know if my knee's going to be ready, because I'm not getting the reps that I was expecting to be getting. So this spring or this fall has been good for her. You know, I think we still have to rest her body. She has 3 ACL tears. I mean, that's a lot on a body. She's now a 5th-year senior this year, because she took a medical when she was at Cincinnati. So keep in mind, I mean, I always say this, you know, an 18-year-old body is different than a 22-year-old, especially a 22-year-old that's gone through what Erica's gone through. So we're still trying to make sure we manage reps for her, but I think she's feeling good. And I know she feels comfortable on it, which I think is really important.
Coach, if you could put a wrap on this recruiting class, is there a character trait that maybe all your incoming ladies have? You mentioned perseverance with Nora. You mentioned state champion, being winners. Is there something that brings them all together?
I think they're Creighton kids, and we know what that means when we talk about that as a staff, when a kid is a Creighton kid, and they all epitomize what we consider our important tenets within our program: team before self, strong academics, you know, kids that are going to care about culture more than their own personal accolades. They want the team to be successful. And I think all of these guys buy into that and relish the opportunity to hopefully move Creighton to some places we've never been before.
All right, well, that will wrap up today's Zoom session. Coach Booth, thanks for your time, and media, we will send out some video links here in probably 20, 30 minutes once we get everything uploaded.